consultant, lecturer, and corporate trainer with more than 20 years extensive management experience in the tourism and hospitality industry. She is currently involved in regional consultancy work in the area of tourism and hospitality management in Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Vietnam, and Malaysia. She has provided marketing and management consultation to destination marketing teams to develop long-term strategic plans in the light of global challenges. Nisha has also engaged in capacity planning and development of tourism workforce to enhance the quality of service. So may we please have a round of applause for Nisha. I would request all exhibitors to send representation to the tech stage at OTM Exhibition Hall for the masterclass on how to engage with your target audience in a travel trade show. I would like Nisha to take it forward from here to introduce about the masterclass and more about herself. Thank you.
Now I'm into my consultancy program. I was doing my rounds this morning. I was looking at every single booth and I was evaluating, assessing them, but I guess nobody knew who I was. All right, but best booth today. Anyone? Which is the best booth? Bangkok booth. Why Bangkok booth? Because it looks very pretty. Okay, anyone else? Anyone who votes the best booth, I'll get them to give you a gift or something. Anyone else? Which is the best booth here? Nepal is very special. Why is Nepal very special? Because of the, okay, the design of the booth. Okay. Anyone else? Taiwan booth. Okay, why Taiwan booth? Very good, very good. So they were doing some engagements, some activities. I saw one of the most crowded booths was Japan. Kudos to them. I think they're doing a wonderful job because Japan is actually engaging people in Japanese writing of either your name or whatever it is. And I see that as also one of the most crowded booths. So I'll tell you a little bit more about what you could do to become one of those crowded booths that people get excited about. But before I start, I want to share with you why I started this design. At me was a couple of years. I was at ITB Asia. You been to ITB Asia?
Yeah, ITB Asia. So it's one of the largest
conference or exhibitions that you can find. And I was walking around the booths and I was just walking and suddenly I heard almost the sound like a wild boar, you know, a wild boar sound, right, in one of the booths. You know how a wild boar makes noise, right, with that guggling sound in the throat, right? So I was thinking, you know, what is this booth about? I thought it was Africa doing some Kenyan safari or something, right? So I backtracked, I walked to the booth, and what I saw in the booth gave me a shock of my life. There was one of the MDs of a travel company of one of the destination. He was seated right in the middle of the booth, and he was snoring. So the wild boar sound was his snore and not a Kenyan safari from Africa, all right? And so that made me started to think, you know, you have paid so much. You know, we all know that this is one of the best marketing activities. You know, I'm a researcher, I'm an academic. I've done so much of research on the potential of events and travel shows. And I can tell you the returns that you're going to get and the kind of lead generation that you're going to get from a trade show is far, far, far better than personal selling, right? So when we know so much of potential in terms of unique marketing, and this is live show, there is so much you could do with your audience in that few minutes that they are outside your booth. And what was he doing? Okay, so it's quite amazing, you know, that you are not capitalizing on that. So I came up with this workshop, and many a times, you know, even when I was in the corporate world, in a travel company, we always look at trade show as an expense, right? So we always say this is part of marketing expense. When we do our budget, we put, say, 20% of it, and we say that's our marketing budget, and it's an expense. But I want you to remember one thing, you know, words somehow affect the way we look at what we are doing. So it is not an expense, it's actually an investment, right? So look at it as an investment, and how are you going to ensure that every single thing you do for the next 2 days over here, it is an investment. It has to bring in your returns. You have to leverage on that few minutes that people are in front of your booth. How expensive is to be here? Is it expensive to be here? Especially for the international audience. Is it expensive to be here? Yeah? Put up your hand if you think it's expensive to be here. To open up a booth. No? International audience. It's really cheap to be here in OTM. Yeah? Your boss paid for it, even if it's a company budget. I think it's very expensive to be here. When I say expensive, it's not just money, it's time. Right? I put aside 5 days of my time to be here at OTM, and time is money. I could be doing something else, right? So I want to make sure that the time that I spend over here is worthwhile the investment. I'll give you a few data first before we begin. I think, check this out. No? I think this is important for us to know that people's attention span is about 2.5 seconds only when they come and stand outside your booth. So here I am, I'm walking by your booth, and it's only between 2.5 seconds. You have to ensure that you get my attention. Now, attention is not equal to interest, okay? I have to tell you that. So even if Nepal booth, I was at Nepal booth, I wish anybody from the Nepal booth here. They are too busy attracting people there. I wish they could hear what I'm trying to say here. They've got a good design, but they never did engage me in that few seconds that I was there. So nobody actually spoke to me. They didn't know who I was. But you know, it's important that I passed by the booth. It was so attractive to me. I walked past, I stood there more than 2.5 seconds, and yet they did not convert me to a lead. Right? So that's something that is very important to understand. You already had a captive audience that was standing outside your booth, but you did not convert me to be your leads. Right? And for me, one of the things that I do as a stage speaker and keynote is I take pictures of booths, I take pictures of countries and destinations, I take pictures of what you do, and I put them in my PowerPoint slides, and I travel every other week presenting, so I could potentially be your ambassador. And nobody understood that. They looked at me as an ordinary person walking past, and looked at me with this, I don't know, like I wasn't an interesting lead, or I wasn't a potential lead, or whatever it is, and it just made me go past that without converting me to be their ambassador. Did you get what I'm trying to say? Right? So the other thing I wanted to say is 4 out of 5 people who are walking past have got a buying authority. If you are going to do personal selling, you don't get to meet 4 to 5 people who have the buying authority, which means to say each and every one of you sitting here have got the potential to go back to your company and opt one of these people who are selling their tourism products. But unfortunately, they are not tapping and converting us to be one of their customers or their lead. So it is expensive. You know, we know that it is a high risk when we are coming here, high cost, etc. But little to zero time is spent on preparation and training of the staff. Meaning to say, a lot of time is spent on actually design of the booth. We think so hard on where should we be located. We think very hard about how should we put up those batik cloth and all that in the Indonesian booth. You know, we think very hard about how do we dress the Thai girls up, right, or the Indonesian girls up. We consider so much in terms of the design of the booth, but we do not spend enough time in terms of training our staff to ensure they do a very quick conversion of the people who walk past the lead. So how many of you train your staff here? Or how many of you are trained to be at a trade show? So I cannot prove my point, have I? This is statistics, this is research. I think it's important for us to pay attention to this. Fewer than half of the state travel offices measure their travel show. If you don't know what you are measuring, you cannot manage your outcome. So it's very important for us to know, number one, what is it that we are measuring before we come and have a presence at the trade show. Most people, they don't know why they are here at the travel show, and therefore they are not able to measure their outcome. So please know what you are here for. Be sure that you translate that to your staff and tell them why we are here for, so that you can measure your outcome and you can ensure that the next year you come, you do better than this year. All right. The next thing is only 6% of marketeers believe that company converts trade show leads and the conversations become their business executives. Now, this is not the ineffectiveness of the roadshow, but it's the ineffectiveness of our staff. All right. So when we talk about only 6% of the conversion rate over here, it is really, really not the ineffectiveness of OTM or ITB or whatever it is. They're all brilliant shows. Many of the shows I've been are fantastic shows. And OTM, this is my very first time I'm here at OTM, and I'm loving it. All right, I really love OTM. There is so much potential here in this ground for the next 2 days. However, the 6% is because the management and the staff are not prepared to be here. That's the reason why it is, right? And majority of them emphasize that mass personal selling is a priority rather than relationship building. I want to talk a little bit more of this. When I say personal selling, some people were doing that to me earlier. When I go to the booth, they said, "How may I help you?" All right, and then they started to give me their brochures. Now I have to tell you something. How may I help you is not a conversation starter. How may I help you is the conversation starter of concierge, hotel concierge. We are not hotel concierge. So please don't use the word, "How may I help you?" You are not there to do that. There are better conversation starters than to use that. But majority of the people who saw me just now were looking at me and say, "How may I help you?" All right? So it makes me feel like I was at the hotel. Okay? Right? So we look at the majority and what you should be doing. So the word I want to use is a metaphor. You know, we are on show. Why do we call it trade show? Why is it it's a trade show? It's a show, you know, we are in show business, right? So we have to be actors, we have to act. And just like every other actor, whether it's your Amir Khan or your Salman Khan, whoever it is, you know, every actor prepares, every actor practices, every actor rehearses. Everything they do in the movies is rehearsed. Nothing comes out of intuition. Nothing comes spontaneously to people. Everything they say and do on screen, off screen is orchestrated. Why are we not doing that? We are professionals, you know? So before we come on stage, we have to orchestrate it, all right? And the metaphor and orchestrate is that we are on show business. We are on stage. Whether you are in the booth or whether I am here, I've only got 30 minutes to make sure I get my message to you. But you have 2.5 seconds when somebody passes by to ensure that you get them to be your customer. Don't you think you have to be prepared? I took close to 2 months since December to prepare for today, although I do this like every other month. All right, but I have to ensure that I have to rehearse. So I'm here as in show business, I'm an actor. All right, and here I am orchestrating my performance, and you are my audience. So it's the same thing. We have to ensure that we orchestrate our appearance in front of your audience. All right, so I'm going to share with you a few things. I do this over a 2 days workshop, but today I'm given about 20 minutes to do this. Let's see how I do it. Right, number one, like I said, you know, ensure that you know what is it that you are trying to accomplish. Is it networking? All right? Is it look at customer or competitor intelligence? Is it conversion? You have to understand that when you come here, many people tend to think that we need to have high quality relationship with people. So when somebody comes by the booth, they go in there, they speak to the person, they make them sit down and speak to them for half an hour to 1 hour. Look, I think you are abusing the time that you have in maintaining a half-hour relationship with your potential customer. That's not what we do. Again, if I am a buyer, I have no time to sit in a booth with somebody for half an hour because every minute counts for me. I'm a buyer. I'm also calculating my costs when I'm here. So I will never sit down and form a long-term relationship with you. We could do that after 5 or 6 o'clock, but not when I am outside your booth. So that should not be your objective. So look at what it is that you really, really want to do. Number 2, how many of you make appointments 6 to 8 weeks before OTM? Okay, not 6 to 8 weeks. What about 4 weeks before OTM? How about 2 weeks before OTM? How about 1 week before OTM? How about people who never make appointments before OTM? Okay? You have to make your appointments before OTM. Do some kind of a publicity blitz, you know. Do media releases. Do some kind of newsletters, tweet, Instagram, whatever you are going to do. Show happy faces of people who came this year to your booth so that next year you can put it up on your website and you can start to show people, these are the happy people who came to our booth. This is the kind of results we got. This is what they enjoyed. If you have testimonials from anybody, even me, if I like your booth today, take me as your testimonial. Put it on your website and say, she enjoyed coming to our booth. This is what she said. Put it up there. Next year, you have a bigger audience coming to your booth. So you have to make appointments, either e-appointments or e-visibility or whatever it is. Call people up. Existing customers, make sure that they know you are going to be in ATM. Do anything and everything. And they're talking or sending messages to themselves, I think. All right? But look, the booth time is not a time to be on the telephone. You do not send messages. You do not respond to emails or whatever during the booth time. Your eyes should be looking out at the audience. Scan using your eyes, not your phone. So get out of the booth and make sure that you do this 15 seconds. Inside your booth, don't look at your telephones. That's not important when you are here because every minute counts. Number 2, this is what we call an elevator speech. You know, when you go into a lift, you have about 15 seconds to speak to somebody over there. What do? Before you reach your 9th floor or 10th floor, you have to make that connection. Imagine it's somebody that you really want to get to know. Right, so one hot lady or hot guy and you want to get to know this person. You have 15 seconds. What do you say about yourself in that 15 seconds is very important. The first thing that you should never say is, how can I help you? All right, that's really not something what we could say. But we can have many introduction lines, all right? Prepare your introductory lines. Have about 3 introductory lines. Have about 3 stories that you want to share. I'll give you one introductory line, for example. If somebody comes by my booth, I will look at them and say, hi, you enjoying yourself? No, which is the best booth you have seen? Just talk to people, engage people, ask them, whether they are finding something interesting in OTM. Is there something they could share with you? People like when you ask them questions about their experience. People don't like it if you are a salesman or an insurance salesman or car salesman who is trying to push something to them. People like it when there you are, you want to engage with them. So in that 15 seconds, try to rehearse, write a speech, write a one-liner, write a story so that you are able to tell them that your product is just not more, it's more than brochures. Don't shove brochures at people, because when we are going back home, the last thing we want to do is carry a luggage of brochures. Right? And today we are so environmentally sustainable. Today I say no to brochures. What are you going to give me? All right? So when there are people who are going around to booth telling you, I don't want brochures, or they collect your brochures, the worst thing you do is that you go and look at the dustbins outside. Your brochure could be one of them. All right? They're trying to dispose it before they leave. So what do you do in that 3 minutes to engage your audience is what we call the elevator speech. The next one that I want to share with you is that please do not take name cards and ask people to do a scan. The last thing you should do is to ask people, can I scan your badge, all right? Because scanning your badge is not a good way of converting your leads. You should not do that. And the other thing is that don't take name cards from people and throw it into the fishbowl. And when you go back home, you think that you're going to discover which was the goal amongst this fishbowl. All right, it's not going to happen. So what do you normally do? I have 2 pockets, for example. I would put a conversion here, and I'll put one that perhaps it's not very important because they may not be interested in you. So when you're giving your name cards, know what's your right, what is your left. Put those that you want to go back and immediately follow up on your right, and those that you think that if you have time, and then you want to follow up on your left. And if it's possible, when you get name cards from people, take down notes. Take down notes. There may be some questions that they ask, because the moment we go back home, we will end up forgetting what they wanted from you. Or if you have observed some interesting question. Today I went to one of the booths, and I think it was Uzbekistan, and I was looking at pilgrimage tours, and I was talking about halal and Muslim friendly tours. And I think if that gentleman caught what I was asking him, he should immediately take information down and write down my name and write down my interest, so that when he goes back home, he will follow up. But I'm not sure if he did that, because I did that. Right? I took my pen, I said, can I write your information down on this card or your brochure? Because I want to follow up with you. So this is what you should do, because we have a memory of a goldfish. All right, when we go back home, we end up forgetting. We end up forgetting who asked what question. So make sure that you don't throw it here and forget about it. Think and strategize. How are you going to take the name cards? And when you go back, you know how to identify every single person who came outside your booth. All right, whether they're important, less important. I have a system of doing A, B, C. A is very, very important. B is important. But C is that if I have time, I will convert. All right? So make a difference. I just want to quickly touch on the make a difference in the next 5 minutes. Now, the first thing is that don't give brochures. Make sure that you create a memory hook, all right? When we say memory hook, what is it that you're going to do? A few one-liners that you could do. People love compliments. People love compliments. People love hearing their names. When you look at their card, mention their names. Mention their company. If I heard something about booking.com, say, I heard about your company. This is what you're doing. That is Vijay. I know about NetJob. I've read something about your tours, all right? We can have conversation on that first. Once you click with that person, the next thing you should do is start talking about your product, but never start talking about your product before you start that relationship. So many things can go in the relationship. Center on the person who's in front of you. Give them the attention. Look in their eyes. Smile. Compliment on them. Look at their company name. Start talking. All this is going to take you about 30 seconds. About 30 seconds. I'm telling you because I've done it. All right? So take about 30 seconds. The moment you see the smile on the other person, you got the hook. All right? So then you take that hook and then you convert them into an experience. If you see somebody coming to your booth, one of my friends, she was saying to me that some of these booths that have got nice seats, you know, a lounge to sit down, a coffee to drink, water, anything. You look at somebody, today is just this morning, you know, but this afternoon you're going to see more people getting lethargic. The next day, tomorrow, more and more people are going to get tired. If you see somebody carrying a bag, invite them inside. Sit down for a little while. Even if you want to go to my neighboring booth, come back over here, you know, I'll look after your bag for you or whatever. Do simple things, you know, so that you hook them and they will come back to your booth again and again. What we want is a relationship. We want people to like you. We don't buy products because we like the product. We buy things because we like the people, all right? So this is a people business, and please, people, don't forget we are in a people business. We are not in the product business. Earlier, they were talking about millennials. Millennials are even more than us. All they build on is relationships, all right? So please build on relationship, and this is what I'm trying to say. Pay attention to attract attention. If you want the attention of the people who are passing by your booth, then give them the attention. You don't expect to get their attention if you don't give them attention. Give them 100%, whether it's your eye, whether it's your smile, whether it's your physical presence, the way you stand, acknowledge them, nod, everything, lock in your presence. The moment you lock in the present, people know that you're interested in them and you're not just interested in pushing your products, all right? So connect, pay attention to it, get attention. Create an experience. Your booth design is just one of them. How you create it, whether it's your persona, whether it's your personality. And before I move, I just want to say something. Engage it, have a unique theme. Booth design, I'm not here to talk about booth design, but I think it's equally very important. I want to put this up to you before I move off. If you want to give a free gift, or if you want to do a giveaway or promotion, remember one thing. There is nothing in this world that is a giveaway that is more powerful than you and your engagement. You give away yourself. Give away your engagement. Forget about giving gifts you think that's not going to make an impression. How many travel shows have I been where I've collected pens, I've collected notebooks, I've collected bags? It's frivolous. You know, what I've done today is I've gone in and donated at a donation box. I have stopped collecting anything that is material, and I'm going around collecting something that is not material. That's relationship. That is you and your engagement. So please forget about all these giveaways and coupons. Don't even collect it. Go out there, look for somebody at the booth who is giving you attention, whether they are paying attention to you, complimenting you, making sure physically you are comfortable, and if they can give you that stand in that booth, give them the attention, all right? Get that relationship happening. But if a booth that is ignoring you, they're more interested in pushing your brochures to you, then I think what do we do? Move on. Move on, all right? There are so many other people who are waiting for our attention. Now, what am I trying to say? This is the trend. This is what is going on at each and every single trade show at the moment. All right. I want to say one more thing before we go. I love this. If anyone have heard this 80-20 rule. 80-20 rule is 20% of your customers become 80% of our business, right? But I also want to say, stop talking too much, all right? Because 80% listen, 20% talk. Listen to body language. Listen to what they have to say. Listen to what they're asking. So I wish some of these people this morning had listened to me so that they could have converted me. So listen instead of talking. Talking is only 20%. Listen. The other is 80%. Pay attention to 20% of your selling product. Do not imagine that today when you see a customer, you can spend all the time pushing 100% of your product. Don't do that. Understand, make sure you know what is your 20% of your top selling products, and only talk about the 20% to the different market segment. The other is, you know that 80% will only come to the 20% of your attendees, so not everybody is your lead. All right, so learn to read people. There are courses today on reading people. We can read people's face and we know whether they are a potential or they are not. Right, follow up, follow up, follow up. The last thing that many people do. How many of you immediately follow up on the day you close up your booth? When we close up the booth, it's party time. All right, the next day, how many of you follow up the next day? At least 1 week. No, I'm going to show you some statistics. Following up is meant to be very important. People think that that is very, very important, more important than anything else. But industry average also says that it will cost you about 38% less to acquire and convert a customer that you found in a travel show. If you don't do that, you have to work very, very hard to go into personal selling. So please look at this average. 4.5 sales calls to convert a normal lead, but over here it's only 3.5 calls. So if you make somebody over here, if you do it immediately, it takes less time to convert somebody you met at the trade show to be a potential customer. So do it immediately, do it fast, use all kind of social media, etc. All right? So this is all I have for 20 minutes. I'll visit you at your booth. Yeah. And if there's somebody who needs some kind of a personal analysis of your booth, I'm happy to do that. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next session. Thank you.